Hello, it's us, it's you, we're here, together. Why are we here? For another exciting week on You Can't Disappoint a Podcast, Argentina's number 5 television show podcast.
And I don't think we've kept that. I think we've been drastically falling since, but we're going to wear that badge proudly for the rest of our lives. Welcome to the show. You can officially support You Can't Disappoint a Podcast now on Patreon at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. It's the place to go to help us move this show forward, and there's all kinds of exclusive content, fun interaction, events with Steven and myself, and all types of ways to influence our show on a weekly basis. So please consider supporting us on Patreon.
If you want to get in on the action, make sure you email us your trivia, your MVP, and your funniest moments from that week's episode over to our email at can'tdisappointpodcast@gmail.com, and we will read it right here on the show.
We sure will, even if you beg us not to. Also, hang out with us on the socials every week off the podcast. You know, we're on Facebook and YouTube under our podcast title. You can also find us on Instagram at Can't Disappoint Podcast and Twitter, where we probably do the most of our jovial lollygaggery at You Can't Disappoint. So come hang out with us over there.
Yeah, make sure you you smash that like and subscribe button.
Give us that attention that we so desperately crave.
Yeah, throw us your hearts, your wallets, and a couple kisses here and there, and we'll keep on pushing out this baby of ours that we call You Can't Disappoint a Podcast.
Shirley, this is the best kettle corn I've ever had. If you don't vote for Rich, I'll shatter your world.
You gonna what?
I'll shatter your world.
I heard you. I'll vote for Chang.
Yes! Yes in your face! No! Yes! No! Chang and Shirley had sex on Halloween.
What?
What? You may be pregnant with this baby.
No. No. Pierce!
She crossed me.
Oh, you a sweepy boy today. Are you a sweepy little baby boy today?
We'll take a nap on
Daddy's lap. Anyway, let's save that for later.
Yeah.
Pick that up. We just tapped into something. Hi, everyone. Welcome to what it was. I guess it's the podcast now, right? Yeah, we just finished doing...
You can't disappoint a podcast.
We just finished... It's still pronounced the same. We just finished doing the pre-show, which I guess you just got a little taste of where that went. If you want to see more of that, go hit us up on patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. I don't know. That was a weird way to start this. Weird energy. But yes, you can't disappoint a podcast. We spell can't with the QU now, of course, in solidarity with Kendra from this week's episode of Community.
I dated someone named Kendra once.
I remember.
You think she watches the show?
Do you mean the podcast or the show Community? The answer to both is no.
Is no. Hey, Kendra, come on the show. Let's talk about it. Let's get some closure.
Do you really want that? Is that something you truly want?
No, I think we got closure. It's fine.
I think it's closed.
It's closed.
Right, it's closed.
Closed with a Q.
Shout out, though.
Yeah, shout out to you.
Okay, everyone, welcome to the show. Yeah, shout out right at the top to our community daddy over at Community's Weird Week. Yeah, it's been a weird couple of weeks.
Yeah, right?
Last week was weird. This doesn't
I'm
seem
happy
to
to
be
say that I've left my
better.
life of crime behind me.
That's really good. Did you get out of it?
Yeah, they haven't found me yet.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, shout out Communities, at Communities on Twitter. Go follow them. They're the best. They are where the community action is all the time. Hi, I'm White George Foreman.
And hi, I'm Black Michael Chiklis. It's the guy from S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
I don't know.
The S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah. I think
or from The
right.
Wire?
I don't know.
The S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right. Hello, welcome to You Can't Disappoint a Podcast. Another week. It's the end of February. It's almost March. I think this might come out in March.
Oh,
this month's already 2 over.
Wow.
Wait,
that's
no,
crazy.
this year's already 2 months over. It is a little crazy. It's definitely been more of the same so far, hasn't it? Or has it been better? You started off this year with such positivity.
My 2021 has definitely been better than my 2020.
That's good.
So far.
That's
at this
good.
point last year.
I guess mine has too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't know. The world at large is still whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done, but I think that people's general mindset for the most part is better. I hope.
I hope to.
Well, here's a big reason why 2021 is already better than 2020 is we don't have an actively bigoted, racist orange man in the White House.
That is true. Or on Twitter.
Or on Twitter. Yeah,
Which is nice.
they permanently banned his ass.
Which is
and
nice.
Now he can just kind of yell at the wall.
You know what? Then I don't think we should even be talking about him.
Yeah.
Not relevant, you know?
Nope.
He probably will become at some point again, but he's not right now, and that's very, very nice.
It really is. I actually haven't heard shit in a while, so that's great.
Yeah, it is great. Anyway, welcome to the show. Another week talking about community, and our show is, of course, brought to us by our $10 and up patrons. Who are they, Steven?
Well, we've got a few of those puppies. Let's first start by saying thank you to my mom, Mary Baker,
who joined us on You Can't Diss a Pre-Show this week.
Yeah,
and
she was on the pre-show today and told some stories about how terrible a preschooler I was.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then thank you to Justin Brummett, our home slice. Congratulations to him also because he's got a baby on the way. He is with child.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. And then thanks to Danny Martinez, who is one of our patrons who we had on the pre-show a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And who we just recorded a special episode for her because she is not just a $10 patron, but she is one of the top tier $50 patrons.
And she gets to make us review something, anything.
Exactly.
And if you would like to do that and you're extremely generous, you could do that over at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. We're talking about a really infamous episode of the show Scrubs, and it was really fun to do. We did a complete You Can't Disappoint a Podcast style episode, and it was cool to take the angle that we take on Community and direct it towards something else for a change. It was a lot of fun.
Really
and if you're
cool.
interested in listening to it, that'll be up on Patreon soon. Super fun. And thanks to Danny and to all of those people for being lovely patrons. If you'd like to have your name read out on the show every week, you just have to be a $10 or higher patron, again, at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. Right? So how are you, Steven? How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Are you?
I am
chaotic energy today.
Yeah, I feel like my candles are all burning.
Okay.
And the fire in my soul is ignited.
Well, that's good because sometimes the candles can be burning and the fire can be extinguished. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah. I feel like my plate is leveling a little bit because my play just ended, which was really fun. And I you always feel a little bit sad when something like that ends, but it frees up some time in my evenings. And it's kind of like there's always the next thing ahead that's going to be the next struggle to get through. But it kind of feels like a new leveling of time that I'm allotted, I guess.
With that extra time, are you finally going to, reread the 50 Shades series?
Yeah, and I'm going to send in my notes and corrections to the author.
Oh, my. Didn't that start as, Twilight fan fiction?
Yeah, it absolutely did. I don't know who the two characters would have been. If it was just, Edward and Bella or I don't know what the fan fiction version of it was. I definitely saw the first 50 Shades of Grey movie.
How was that?
It definitely almost feels like a Twilight fan fiction movie, kind of.
That's fair.
The style, it's very darkly shot. I don't know. It was a little fun, but it was not good. I don't know. There's no story.
There are very few things that I've had less interest in than that series of movies or books.
Hey, but if you want to force us to watch it and discuss it, we would gladly do it for $50. That could be fun.
We will quite literally watch and discuss anything you want for $50.
Anything. Yeah. Yeah, so chaotic energy today, but I hope I think the episode of Community we're here to talk about has a little bit of chaotic energy, so I hope it applies to it. We're talking about Season 2, Episode 12. This is the halfway point of Season 2. We're halfway done with Season 2, and halfway through the entire run of the series, because the last 3 seasons are shorter, is not too far into Season 3.
Wow.
So we're very near approaching the peak of the mountain before we head back down.
That's crazy. Can you believe that we're almost, we're approaching halfway through this journey?
Yeah, and still about 2 years or no, like
Probably
still,
closer to a year and a half, right?
It was going to be 2.5 years. So yeah, about a year and a half still to do this. And I can't believe that after that's done, that you and I will never speak to each other ever again.
You know, it's something we knew was going to be the case.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to delete everything afterwards.
Well, we decided a long time ago that the day we would never speak ever again was a set time years ago. So we were keeping track of the time, and we knew if we were going to start a community podcast, it'd have to be here.
We waited to
so
the
we can
last
finish.
possible moment to do it.
But that's not true. I hope we continue to do stuff. I think we've built a little tugboat here that could continue to sail.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, you know, now that we have the audience we do, we can finally start what we really wanted to from the beginning, which was the Candy Crush podcast. And Mario Lopez is on board. He's just waiting.
We'll lose that dedicated audience really fast. Really, really fast. But I think it'll be fun. I have tons of ideas. I told you the idea that I have right now, and I could tell instantly that you're like, I'm not touching that.
I would love to be a guest on that show during some of the episodes.
I think it could be really fun, a really fun time capsule. And it could very much be what this one is, different from what this one is, and just have like what's going to everyone. And if you'd be interested in this, give me something. I think
if you people want to see this from the two of us,
I thought it would not exactly from the two of us if you don't want to do it, but you could if you wanted. I think it would be really, really fun to do a podcast that's an episode by episode rewatch and discussion of Saturday Night Live, and start with the 70s and go through to now when we're in our 70s. And I think it would be such a fun glimpse into history of all the times. And the first thing that you or your mom said when I mentioned it was that there would be some really rough points to get through. Mm-hmm. And I feel like even the worst points would have some really funny sketches. I think we would find some really quality stuff that we never dreamed possible. And it would be fun to not just relive some of the classic sketches, but like within context of when they aired. I think it'd be really fun and to see what was going on in the world. I think it could be really fun.
Here's the issue. You would never catch up.
That's not necessarily true.
I feel like the gaps that are in between seasons aren't that long.
And that would also be fine. You know?
It's the never ending
I think we
story.
would eventually catch up because like they're in the middle of a season right now and they took like 6 weeks off and now they're doing a couple. I don't know.
Really?
I think, and I could also see it being the type of thing. We're totally just having a whiteboard brainstorm session.
We are. Welcome
in the middle
to our
of
mind.
the podcast that we're also doing. I could see that being a thing that if that's like the thing that you're doing where you could do it twice a week.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the show that we do now because I'm very much it's fun for me to think of 1,000 ideas of what we could do because this is fun and we could do so many things. Obviously, 0 to 3 of the 100,000 ideas will come to fruition at some point.
You can't break a bad cast.
So it's fun to tell us, as we're seeing this turn into a thing that could be a thing. Tell us some stuff you'd be interested in hearing us talk about because I don't know. Maybe you guys have better ideas than us.
Discall a Saulcast.
You want us to do those are your 2 ideas? We could do every episode of Gunsmoke.
There we go.
There's like 600 and something of them.
You know what we should do is you review Gunsmoke and I'll review Bonanza, but we'll do it in the same episode at the same time.
Is that Bonanza?
Bonanza's that's the theme song.
Because Rawhide is also
Rawhide. I
don't think that's it. I think you just made
Riders
that
on
up.
the storm.
Yeah, I just looked it up. If I were to commit to doing a Saturday Night Live podcast, as of this day, there are 902 episodes of Saturday Night Live. That's 200, which is like the full range of a show that lasts like 9 years. That's like 200 episodes longer than The Simpsons. There's 46 seasons.
So 900 episodes, even
Divided
if you did
by
2 a week,
it would be like 4.
That's like 9 years.
It'd be like... And in 9 years, another 200 episodes would acquire. I think it'd be fun, and I don't think the point would be to catch up necessarily. It would be to
I don't know that you'd
revisit.
want to catch up because how do you really want to analyze?
Just think
like,
about
the
it, like
2008?
5 years from now. I think it might be fun. I think like 5 years from now, watching what's happening now would be cool.
Yeah, I would be interested to go like in the future and see
we need to talk about something
election
else.
stuff that we were alive for.
Right. Because we've been watching the current Saturday Night Live, and it's been really funny. And
That
I
makes me
didn't think
happy
I
to
was
hear. I
that
haven't watched it in a
crazy
few
about the
years.
cast, but there are quite a few standouts. Anyway, let's get back into it. Of course, we're talking about. I should probably cut a lot of that, right?
How many of those 900 episodes is Kenan Thompson on? About like 840?
Yeah, he started in like 79. I don't know. He's been on for 14 seasons.
I love Kenan
I think
Thompson.
is the number.
He finally is getting his own show.
Yeah, we watched the first episode. It's not remarkable, but I'm really rooting for him. So it's created by one of the people that created Happy Endings. Is like on the
Oh, I
team.
like Happy Endings.
So
also, my mom says she forgot to say thank you for the postcard. It was lovely.
Oh, she got it. Great. Because
Yeah.
we had a really hard time getting them mailed because our mailman here wouldn't take them, so I had to put them in a post box.
He said no thank you.
I signed all of them. P.S. Steven, who can't read or write, sends his regards.
I appreciate it.
Okay, I don't know if any of what we've said so far is usable, but we'll probably just keep it all. We're talking about Season 2, Episode 12, Asian Population Studies. It was directed by the venerable Anthony Russo, and it was written by the likewise venerable Emily Cutler, who was one of the co-writers of Contemporary American Poultry, and she herself also wrote Modern Warfare, and this season already she wrote Accounting for Lawyers, which was a really good episode, and in the future, her last writing credit is Competitive Wine Tasting.
Do you think that anyone's ever made a joke when talking about Contemporary American Poultry and they're like, written by Emily Chicken Cutlet?
And it originally aired on January 20th, 2011, which was like 3 days before my 14th birthday.
Wow, happy birthday, Zach.
Thank you. I did notice, 10 years ago when we didn't know when we had maybe passed in the hallway twice that you didn't say anything.
Wait, we didn't know each other 10 years ago.
14. So
Holy shit.
So maybe we had passed did you go to Highland your freshman year?
Yeah.
So we had probably crossed paths. But
Oh
didn't
my
know each
God.
other. Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's how time works, bro.
I bet I did know who you were.
Probably.
Is that the correct way? I bet I did know who you were. Yeah. Because you knew, and we can bleep these names, they don't want to be said, but you knew Sammy back then, didn't you?
Yeah, why would I bleep that name? I love Sammy.
I do too. Because I knew Sammy well back then, fairly, and you knew Mrs. Sipes because you were in theater, right?
Yeah. Now that name will have to bleep. I don't know.
Yeah.
These are all people
I
that
definitely knew of your existence. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It all began
10
then.
years, buddy.
Anyway, it originally aired January 20th, 2011, and yeah, that is it. Let's talk about some act trivia, and our flavor of act trivia this week is a little bit of blood.
Nice. Just a little.
Yeah.
Not enough to be concerned about, but enough to pay attention to.
Enough that you should be notified that it's there.
Yeah.
It does.
Legally
It makes a difference. Okay, I've got 5 questions.
Ooh, you go first then. I've got 4.
Okay, what does Troy call Annie's cutesy voice?
Oh, her I Love Butterflies voice.
Nailed it.
Nice.
I'll give you a second one. What graduation was Rich attending before anthropology class?
Oh, the little graduation for the Seeing Eye Dogs. He wanted to shake all their little paws.
Yes.
I love Rich.
Nailed them. 2 in a row. What you got for me?
What is Black Michael Chiklis / White George Foreman's real name?
Is it David?
It is David. He's
He's biracial. His name is David, and he's a human being. Okay. What refreshments are at the mixer?
That's literally my next question as well. But it's tropical Skittles, cigarettes, and mouthwash.
Everything you need.
Right?
Yeah. Enough Skittles to make you need a smoke, and then some mouthwash for when you're done.
Exactly. What a great combo.
Right. So you do one? Or
yeah. What names, including Rich, does Jeff say and mention that their common trait is that the group doesn't know them very well? What were the other names that Jeff said?
Ooh, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Mm-hmm.
Is the other one John Wayne Gacy?
No.
Ooh, but it was another, serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, we've been doing so well. I don't think I know the second one.
Ted Bundy.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You got one, though. Partial credit.
Okay. What sign is visible on the bathroom wall when Jeff is talking to Annie?
Ooh.
It was noteworthy, I thought.
I can't remember off the top of my head. What was it?
It had toilet paper on it, and it said, "Be kind, rewind."
That's funny.
Do you have one more?
I do.
Okay.
What is the name of the Finnish facial scrub that Jeff doesn't have in his life anymore?
That's my last question.
Aren't we just a pair of twins this week?
Yeah. Little baby. When?
Little baby.
When? Keristina.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an almond facial scrub. My question was a two-parter. Well, that was good. That was a good round of trivia.
Yeah, it was. We actually did pretty okay.
I just missed one of those names. That was one of the best rounds of trivia. And last week was the one I think or maybe 2 weeks ago, we didn't get anything right.
It was rough.
So that was a good one. Let's
rough.
see if this carries along to what the good people have sent in us.
Yeah, let's see what the people have to say. All right, first one I'm going to open here is from... It's from Danny. She says, "Hello, Steven and Zach. I'm in a rush today, but I didn't want to miss sending questions." Super easy round because I'm running late. Here they are. Thank you. I appreciate
We've been doing well, so let's see if it happens.
Yeah.
Maybe it will.
What did Jeff discover during the holiday break?
Another back muscle.
Yeah, so get ready. Tank top season,
Yeah,
ladies.
I think it was back muscle.
What's the name of the Anthropology book?
I don't know that one.
No clue. How far along is Shirley in her pregnancy? 8 weeks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of Skittles are at the gathering thingy?
Tropical.
The term is mixer. Danny, pay attention to the show, why don't you?
Yeah.
Tropical. And what is Rich wearing when Jeff goes to his place? A cute-ass apron, because Rich is a cute-ass man.
Okay.
I love Rich.
I like that energy.
Big
Thanks,
hugs, Danny. Thanks, Danny. All right, this is from Peep Reviews, a.k.a. Lil. They say, what didn't work for Duncan?
I don't know. I remember talking about being sober and his penis is working. Maybe it was that his penis wasn't working.
His erection was not working when he was drinking.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Also, I want to point out when we were watching things, a really funny kind of little continuity error.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
okay.
Fun with Duncan.
Where it says penis erased.
Yeah.
And then it's not there again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Nice, yeah. I can't even act like I saw it. Somebody pointed it out to me, but...
Oh, really? I saw it the last time I watched it.
Nice. What does Abed do when Chang asks why he wasn't invited to the mixer? He kind of short circuits.
It's a mixer. It's a mixer. We couldn't reach you. It's a mixer. It's a mixer.
That was great. And then the last question, Zach, will you put away the dishes?
Why do you always do this? We can speak to each other.
And the real last question is, Steven, will you tell Zach to put away the dishes? Hey, Zach, put away the dishes.
I'll probably put away the dishes, but we spend 8 hours of sleeping together every day, and at least another 4 probably on top of that. This is Daddy's me time, okay? Let Daddy do his work. Thanks.
Thanks, Lil. Also, Lil, my mom says hi.
Oh yeah, she did, didn't she?
Mm-hmm. Our next one is from our daddy. Our collective dad. We have our own respective daddies, but this is our collective daddy.
Sometimes your true daddy is a choice.
Well,
and he's the daddy I've chosen.
Same. Hi guys. This one's to both of us. See, he does love you, Zach. Just a bit of behind. You know what it is? It's because I read the trivia. I bet that's why sometimes it says hi,
I know
Steven.
it is, but I feel like after the first incident, now he's done it to keep me on my toes.
Hi guys. Just a bit of behind the scenes trivia. When Danny came back from the break, he had a haircut that was really short, and someone said he looked like Jamie Lee Curtis from True Lies. This episode also has the second reference to Fat Neil. Conspiracy theories was first, and actuarial joke here. After a few more appearances, Charlie asks they stop referring to Neil as Fat Neil in the scripts. Your name kind of stays the same after it is set, and they changed it going forward. Also, I love footballs. And shout out to Charlie, who liked and commented on an episode that we posted a couple weeks ago.
Charlie's a really cool dude, and I totally respect that he would have been on the show to the point where he could be like, hey, man, can I be more than Fat Neil?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And it's good on the show that they agreed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, totally. Cool.
Have a great show, communities, Matt. All right, trivia from our Daddy Dad. What is the real name of the student referred to as Black Michael Chiklis and White George Foreman? David. What previous thing did Duncan do that caused him to be late for class, according to Shirley? And that was driving through a marathon?
I didn't catch that.
Why did Kendra leave the room? Pierce offered her $50 to do something gross.
I don't remember that either.
It says answers at the bottom. David. Okay. Dad, I'm gonna question this one.
What do you say?
He said drove into a parade, and I'm fairly certain they said marathon.
We'll see.
Yeah,
this one we'll look for.
Because a parade and a marathon are not the same thing, you know. We've seen a parade.
Certainly.
And we've seen marathons. And then he says, Pierce said something that offended her, and she bolted right by Jeff.
Okay.
Thanks for writing in, Dad. We know who your favorite is.
Yeah. Give us a call once in a while.
Please. Send us
and is
money.
that it? Is that all the trivia?
That is todos las triviados.
Well, then let's, without pause, skip right next to our next segment. One of my favorites. We're going to, together as a nation, put our somber energy together and find out, did Steven watch the episode this week?
The answer may surprise you.
Answer number 17 might surprise you. I'm pulling up my stopwatch. Are you prepared this week? How do you feel? How are you feeling going into the challenge?
This could go either way, if I'm being honest.
It seems to usually go one way.
Yeah, I feel like this episode, there's not too much to say, but there's enough to say that I'm going to miss something.
Well, let's see. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome back from Christmas break, everybody. Annie is in love with a guy, but who is it? Somebody handsome. Then they're in Anthropology, drunk and sober. Show's getting back with her ex. Let's have a mixer to find a new study group member, because everyone likes Rich except Jeff. Chang wants to be in it, too. Oh, my God. Chang might have gotten Shirley pregnant. Holy shit. Holy my God. Oh, my God. What else happened? Oh, my God. Jeff's not jealous.
Stop.
Mixer...
Yeah. You could have gone into, like, Jeff's vouching, like what Jeff does for Chang. And you didn't talk that much about Rich, did you?
I mentioned him a couple times.
And you didn't really talk that much about Shirley's husband, like, being there.
I think the 8 seconds of oh my God where I was trying to remember what happened next were not great.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's good that you can see that. Yeah,
oh my God. That was not my best. That was a... Ooh.
That was a D+.
Yeah, it was.
Because there was some good information, but man, I can tell that you don't think about this until the second it starts.
Yeah, I sure don't. I try and keep it fresh.
Well, that was great. Let's sidestep right into our favorite funny moments of the episode. Do you have anything?
Okay.
What?
I really liked the end tag.
Are you kind of stretching for something?
A little.
Yeah.
I liked when Duncan wrote penis on the board. I thought that was pretty funny. And then I'm gonna go. Also, I liked Abed's thing with like the short circuiting.
It's a mixer.
Yeah.
I have 2 favorite funny moments, and one is it's a mixer, and more because of the way Danny Pudi's Abed pulls off that this is just something that he's learned to do to get out of stuff. That's what makes it really funny, and they pull that off really well. My second funny moment is a Pierce moment. For whatever reason, I really liked the like, I'll shatter your world. What? I'll shatter your world. Really like, then I vote for Chang.
That was pretty great.
She crossed me. Yeah, that
she
was funny.
crossed me.
I'm already forgetting. Was Pierce out of his wheelchair stuff this week?
Yeah, he was actually.
Well, I guess it makes sense because they went home for a break. But did they comment on it?
No, he didn't really walk at all in this episode, other than when he got up to go after Rich.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's move
sitting.
into things. What did you think of this episode?
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I agree with you.
If this were in season 1, I'd be like, cool episode.
It definitely feels more season 2 than season 1, but there's a lot of it that's really inconsequential, and to me it kind of feels like almost like they stretched out what should have been the first half of an episode into a whole episode. I think it should have had someone like Chang or Rich being brought into the study group and ending up getting out of it, because that doesn't really lead to much of anything. The whole, is someone going to get to the study group? I don't think anyone does. I don't think they really solve it. Do they? Do you think?
No, because they vote Chang in, and then...
I guess we'll see next week.
Yeah, I guess. That's true.
And next week is
we've seen
Celebrity Pharmacology, and he's
recently.
involved in it, but not really as a study group member, I don't think.
No.
Maybe he kind of... And then it's Dungeons and Dragons. He kind of does in Dungeons and Dragons, but it's also kind of just like a he just shows up situation.
Yeah, this week is fairly inconsequential with most of the stuff. I like a lot of the Shirley stuff in this episode. I think Troy's really funny.
This episode isn't bad at all,
No.
but the show's been hitting really hard. For this to be what they follow up Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas with, right before another string of really great episodes, it's got some good stuff going for it, but it's on the lower... It's one of the lower couple episodes of the season so far for me. I think I like it a little bit better than Aerodynamics of Gender, but I don't think I like anything else less than this.
This season, for sure, I don't think so. I don't...
Yeah, that's what I mean. There are a couple season 1 episodes that I would put below it. But as far as this season is concerned, it's been hitting so hard, and this one kind of felt like they took a lap. They took a pause.
Yeah, and I wonder, is it because this is an episode that was coming back from a pause, at least a week or two off for Christmas?
That's true. I don't know. Let's dive into it, because I think there is stuff to unpack in it, even if it seems inconsequential at the at first glance. It starts with one of those classic scenes that I like that they do about halfway through every season, where the group's coming back from a break and they all get to see each other again. I like that the show tries as hard as it can to stay on track of an actual school year cycle.
Yeah.
Right? It gets harder when they're in the 13 episode seasons, but I feel like for these first 3 seasons, they do that pretty well.
Yeah, they do. It feels like a school year. They have, midterms and finals sometimes.
And they don't really see each other over breaks that much. Yeah, Jeff found a new muscle to work out. And the ladies will thank him come tank top season. Troy and Pierce are still living together. I don't think they've mentioned it that much in the last handful of episodes here. And they talked about it a couple of times here. Maybe it's the halfway point of the season, and they decided that Troy moving out was going to be something later in the season, because I think it is. So they decided they needed to throw in a couple more mentions. Yeah, because Troy was looking for magical portals, and he found Emmanuel in space on Laserdisc. Is that a reference that means anything to you? Emmanuel in space might even be something that's made specifically to be softcore porn. The type of stuff that shows boobies in butts, but doesn't show any D or G. Yeah. And I think it's 70s probably, and I think it might have been something that I found on like HBO after midnight when I was a kid sometime.
Nice.
And of course Laserdisc, and I like the turn of that joke when like I couldn't watch it, but it sounded sexy. Laserdisc. It was a pretty funny Troy bit. And Annie goes right into kind of what we're doing with her this week, that she's been getting involved with this community service group, and she talks about all the stuff that she's been doing. And what they did was clean up this highway, and it sounded really gross. They talk about all the stuff that they found, like needles and even a human finger, but Annie's got this like cutesy, princessy vibe about her as she says that they found condoms and stuff. I thought this was a pretty nice Annie moment, the way that Allison Brie delivers all that stuff so cutesy.
Well, because it's super duper like, oh, I have a crush on somebody and we spent time together and it doesn't really matter what we were doing because I was with him and it made me
totally
happy.
Been there before. Every time I'm like, well, we talked about Community for a couple of hours, but it was just me and him, and I'm happy. I get my I Love Butterflies voice around you every time.
Aw, babe.
As she's kind of become a character that I'm watching on a week-to-week basis to see how much I like her, Annie, there are a couple things in this episode, not about Annie, but that bother me, that I wish they hadn't done in this one. Annie, I think, has a pretty decent showing.
Yeah, I agree.
Her being a little bit having a crush, and I guess what they do with it later, it works pretty well for me, right?
I agree. I think it's a solid one where she is, Annie's kind of on this kick right now of becoming more almost just reevaluating what she wants to be and who she wants to be. And
she still has a lot of the naiveties that made her the character that she was, but you can tell that she's able to stand up for herself, or at least be confident in the type of person she is.
A lot more.
Without needing to be told. I don't know. I like what they're doing with Annie. And next week does well with Annie too, so that'll be fun to talk about. Everyone picks up that Annie's really talking about a crush that she has on someone that's in the group, and she totally has that the schoolgirl thing that everyone has. And then, there's totally the thing of you're like, no, I don't have a crush, but what you really want to do is tell everyone about how big of a crush you have on someone. She's like, no, well, yeah, but I can't tell you who it is. I've totally been there. And they all try to pick up on it, which spurs off this name bit that they riff off of for a while about, is it the student that looks like this person? And they quote an actor or a celebrity or something. And it's not one of my favorite opening gag bits. I think they spend a little bit too much time on it.
I thought it was funny. Yeah. I liked this. Yeah.
What are your favorite bits in it?
With obviously the Michael Chiklis one is
that's the
good.
Best line.
But I like the I don't know. I think it's just funny how long it goes and how many different people. Because I definitely, especially, and this may be outing myself a little bit.
Sure.
When I was in marching band, my little group of people, we had nicknames for most of the people in the marching
things
band.
Like that. Okay,
yeah,
and that's funny.
like this.
I just think for mine, there were a couple funny bits in it, but they stretched it out long enough that I don't think it justified personally. But I like that. Okay, so here is where Shirley, for the first time, mentions that she's starting to see her ex-husband again. And it's a consequential storyline that the episode treats that way, but not right here at first. Everyone just tiptoes over that and goes back into what they were talking about. I do like, is it the guy who looks like Anderson Cooper? What was it, with a soul patch and something else?
Yeah, it's like is it the soul patch and no, I can't read it, but yeah, that one was funny.
And Britta's, when they both say, they describe the same person, one is white, one is black, and Britta says he's biracial, his name is David, and he's a human being, is a funny line. But in 2021, would you call someone biracial on television? Is that kind of becoming a little bit of a...
I don't think so.
I don't know. It just sounds like the type of thing that, like, old people would use to describe.
Yeah, but I think that also... I don't know. I don't know. I would prefer biracial or mixed more than mixed race.
Oh well, sure. I certainly. I'll try to stop
You'll
using
try
that
and
one.
cut down on that.
Sorry, man. It's just what it's just what I think of. When I constantly describe you to yourself.
Yeah, you're like, this is my mixed race co-host. That's how I talk about you.
Annie breaks it down. She says, stop guessing. She says, change the subject. And then the great cut revealed to Chang the subject, and Chang's on top of the bookshelf, a very tall bookshelf, and just like peering over. And it's impossible that people sitting on the other side of the table wouldn't have noticed him this whole time.
Right.
But it's one of those jokes that only works in a TV show or something because of the angles we get of the room. Stuff like that can happen.
We only get one perspective.
And it's a funny enough bit when we see him and, what are you doing up there? And he hops down. What does he hop down onto?
There's like a study table there.
Okay.
A study desk, yeah.
And he's coming into the group to let them know that he's here. He was promised to be added into the study group. And is that where we left off with that? When did that happen?
I feel like the last time they talked about the
vague.
study group was the dance thing, and he did not win. So,
do you think it's been that long?
I think probably.
Okay, and he's here to get what he's promised.
It's been that long since like Jeff said anything to him about being in the study group.
Okay, well he's here to get it, and yeah, the study group doesn't care at all. They're not gonna give him anything. And I like how quickly it goes from... Chang has some funny moments in this episode.
Yeah, he does.
I like how it goes from, you guys have to tell me right now if I can join the study group. And everyone's like, okay. Well, Jeff is like, well, the answer would be then no. And he's like, take your time, sleep on it, give it a couple moments.
Or else, yeah.
That's a pretty funny bit. And I like the way Joel delivers the, well, if we had to choose right now, yeah, it would be no. And Ken has quite a few funny moments in this. Chang is a character that they really challenged themselves by putting by putting together a character like Chang. And Ken Jeong has such a chaotic comedic energy that you want to work it into the episode, but it's so hard to do anything that works, or that, I don't know, he's just such an unrealistic character. But when he's funny, he's very funny. Yeah, and I like him as a student because he's funny, but I do sometimes miss El Tigre. Chino. Yeah, there's and they only did it for like a second in the first season, but there's very little real person underneath Chang. He used to just be like a really sad guy, and now he's like certainly mentally ill in several regards, right? Yeah, I think they even say later in the episode that he exhibits traits of several mental disorders. Yeah. Annie points out that Jeff did say that he could join, and Jeff says that was before he started making puns based on his name. And then this joke is stupid when he says, "It makes me so changry. Oh God, it's happening to me." Yeah, that one was a little stupid. I honestly, it doesn't annoy me, even though they do it so many times. I like when Chang does it because the joke is that like he's stupid. I like it less when the Dean does it, but it works for Chang. I agreed. I think that it works for Chang. But nobody really cares that much. They want to get back into who is Annie having a crush on, and they start naming Transformers. Pierce is Optimus Prime? There's no way Pierce would know Optimus Prime. Not at all. Jeff's the one that just says, "Let's just study," which is out of character, and he wants to stop talking about Annie's love life. Do you think that's hinting at Jeff having weird feelings, or at the very least, like, I have a crush on this girl and I'm not going to do anything about it, but I don't want to see anyone else do anything about it? I don't think it makes as much sense until he finds out that she's talking about Rich. Yeah. Because I really don't think that Jeff has a whole lot of, like, feelings for Annie. Yeah. I mean, obviously he's attracted to her. But I feel like that is kind of a thing, and it's a selfish thing to be like, I think this girl's cute and I like joking around with her, but nothing's ever going to happen there. But I don't really want to see anyone else being cute and joking around with them. I don't know. I want a girl who will laugh for no one else. Hey, there's a recent Weezer album that like a lot of people are... I listened to it, and I'm into other stuff right now, so I kind of just listened to it just to listen to it and didn't dive very deep into it. But then I started seeing like everyone was giving it glowing reviews, and like Anthony Fantano gave it an 8. Wow! And other people were saying that it's like, you know, Pinkerton Blue Album, White Album, this new one. Mm-hmm. I think I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but I've heard a couple of the songs, and they're pretty cool. It's all orchestral. I'd say the instrumentation is really neat. It's only like 30 minutes. I think you should maybe strap it on. It'll take you back. I might listen to it today, It'll take you back to, you know, the days where we listened to it a lot. I've been listening to Pinkerton and the White Album lately. Cool. A little bit more. It's so... Weezer's so... How did we start talking about Weezer? Because we talked about... You started singing that song. Weezer's totally one of those bands that they were really... They were really bad for a long time after their first great period. Mm-hmm. And then they put out some really good late career stuff that was a surprise. Yeah. And then they totally threw that out the window and did some stuff that was really bad again more recently. And then now they put out, literally when it's to the point where I'm like, I don't really care what Weezer's doing. You know what I mean? Because I haven't really liked it. Then they're like, oh man, but this album is full of songs that seem about like his real life and feelings, unlike most of the stuff that they do, and it's got this beautiful orchestration to it. But whatever, that's enough about Weezer, right? Yeah, come listen to the Weezcast. That's not the first time you've said that on this. I don't think so. Okay, what if we have like a Weez and a Ween cast? Okay, where we talk about Ween and Weez. And I don't know. And we also talk about, what's the other band? Wheatus? Wheatus? You mean the singers of "And I'm Just a Teenage because there are people that think that's a Weezer song. That's funny. Yeah. Shirley is really excited to talk about her love life, and she tries to bring that up. And I guess Jeff isn't that worried about it because nobody wants to talk about Shirley's love life, so he starts jumping into the Annie thing. Yeah. Abed says we should learn people's names. Which maybe they should. This is one of those little things where like the study group are the good guys and the focal point for us. But if you went to this school and saw this study assholes, group and they were talking about you, like, are they Jean-Claude Van Damme with an overbite? You would be like, F those guys. Yeah, you're like, that's rude as shit. And they kind of make a little joke about it in this episode a little bit later. Mm-hmm. Brown Jamie Lee Curtis is a pretty good line, and that line is just because of the haircut that Danny got. And in the audio commentary, there was even a moment where someone said, "Look at Danny's hair," and Danny was like, "I got a haircut, okay?" That was pretty funny. And we get the full theme song this week because it was an episode that, you know, they could take 30 seconds out of it.
Yeah,
it wasn't
not
hard to
anything.
fit it. Always happy to see the theme song, though.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so now after the theme song, we're in the Anthropology Classroom. And another thing that I feel like this episode did me dirty just a little bit was I really don't think they properly utilized Duncan.
He's not in it a lot.
He's not in it a lot, and his bit's funny, but usually Duncan's really funny.
Well, maybe he's less funny now that he's sober.
Maybe that is what it is. I don't know. It just seems like, why did they have him be in this if they weren't going to have him really riff off of something? So they're talking about Shirley's love life a little bit, and this is also a little bit stupid, the way that this storyline comes together, how Pierce and Troy kind of have this storyline in this episode of they know the secret that Shirley hooked up with Chang, and they're trying to keep it the whole time because it's just like Troy's saying out loud while he's sitting next to Pierce, like his stream of consciousness, and then giving away that Shirley slept with Chang.
Yeah.
Or be with Chang. And, it makes him give it away to Pierce, who I feel like Pierce wouldn't really care that much.
Yeah, I don't think Pierce would care that much either. I think that Pierce would be like, well, why would you sleep with him before she slept with me?
Right.
Maybe, but like,
and even Pierce is like, what, where, when? And then how? Even that's not really that funny.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a little weird. You know, this could have easily been a Troy and Abed thing, where Abed learns the secret and can't keep it. Or doesn't know what to do with the information. But instead, they just gave Pierce something to do. Pierce is a little bit funnier later in the episode, but this didn't really do a ton for me. And again, they mention as our roommate. I feel like they're really trying to make us remember that in this episode. Yeah, and they were roommates. Pierce is like, I won't say anything. And then he goes to tweet it, and Troy says, you can't just tweet it. And Pierce says, you didn't say new media.
Yeah, that was fine.
Because it was 2010, and Twitter was new.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter's been around for a long time now.
That's crazy.
And Facebook's been around for probably like 15 years now, right?
Yeah. Now, as someone who wasn't allowed to have social media early on, I didn't get social media. I got an Instagram my senior year of high school.
And was it the whole time because you weren't really supposed to?
Yeah.
Even through high school?
Yeah.
I just assumed it was by choice.
It was because I wasn't really supposed to, and then I think that my mom didn't really say that I wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
When I was a little older in high school, but I didn't really care that much about it.
That's what I always the impression I got. I had a friend that I was close to that never got social media, and it was literally because he was just like a grandpa, and he just like didn't have any interest. And then he eventually did and got it, but that was when we were pretty young, like 13, and like everybody had one. I think I got mine when I was like 12. So I missed the
whole MySpace thing because I just wasn't on it.
I think I signed up for a MySpace when I was really young, and I was just kind of like sneaking around doing stuff on the internet, but I don't think that I actually got it, or I think like my only friends were like the celebrity pages you could be friends with. Yeah. I didn't really use it as a social media, so I didn't really get it. But I definitely, in my time hop, have Facebook memories that are from like 12 years ago.
That's pretty cool, though.
No, I wish...
I bet they're terrible.
Imagine how terrible you think it is and multiply it by several, because it's bad sometimes.
I feel like I'm glad that I don't have time hops. I don't want to see my tweets.
I don't know why I keep it,
cringy.
Because every now and then I'll find something, but now it's been years of looking through it occasionally, so I've seen everything a couple of times, and it's all bad. I don't know.
Well, I only got a Facebook originally because I wanted to be able to play the Texas Hold'em like phone game, but you had to link it to a Facebook account, and I wanted to play with my friends, and so I made a Facebook just to do that.
You're a silly boy.
And then it was when I was at Ball State, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll try out this Tinder thing, and it was like, better have a Facebook, and I was like, well, lucky for you, I just made one, and they're like, okay, link your Facebook photos, and I was like, I don't have any.
And now I feel like you use it a fair amount. Twitter and Facebook?
Yeah. Especially Twitter, I at least like to look through, and Facebook I like to look through.
So Jeff and Annie are talking about Annie's crush. Really, Annie's bringing it up, and I feel like she in this episode is kind of trying to get a reaction out of Jeff, right?
She's definitely fishing for Jeff to be like, hey, don't be with this guy, or like, hey, I'm jealous or something.
And Jeff doesn't really care, and he really, truly doesn't seem to care.
No.
You know? And Annie's like, oh, well, yeah, I don't care either. I just wanted you to not care, too. I don't know. Duncan walks in, and yeah, I think they kind of underuse him here. He's sober now, so the second semester is going to be really hard, but it really just means that there's going to be more dioramas. There's the little bit here, and it really does make, when they call him Fat Neil, it makes it kind of harsh and brutal, doesn't it? And even here where the line is literally, he's like, hey, Fat Neil. He's like, Neil's fine. He's like, nah, Fat Neil. Not from an actuarial standpoint. Like, it's a funny line, but is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like it might have hurt the dude's feelings, so that sucks, because Charlie's a really cool dude. Yeah.
There's where you can see penis written on the board.
Yeah, there's a couple of shots, I think, where you can see it, too. There's a closer one of him where I think you can see it as well. It's almost as if obviously probably what they did was rehearse this scene and then erase it, but instead it makes it seem like Duncan has planned out this lesson. And it always involved him writing penis on the board.
Oh, from the start.
Because I think it is written out later.
Yeah,
he's
and then right here it's gone
drinking.
From the board, so you can tell they had to retake it a couple times.
That's what it is. He's not drinking anymore, and it's because his erections weren't working, and that's the only reason that he won't drink. And he tells everyone about it. And he starts to write penis. Yeah. As Rich walks in, Rich is a welcome figure whenever he shows up, and I thought he was especially good looking in this episode.
Yeah,
he looks real shiny.
Okay, question for you.
Okay.
I want to know your favorite, and then I think we're gonna play a little game for this.
Okay.
Between Rich,
yeah,
Vaughn,
yeah,
and Slater. Sure, we'll do Slater. Between Rich, Vaughn, and Slater, who's your favorite?
Vaughn.
Vaughn, yeah, Vaughn's a cutie. All right,
but I kind of like all those characters.
Rich,
Marry,
Slon,
kill.
Vader. Mm-hmm.
You just said Rich, Slon, Vader.
And
you just said
and Darth Vader.
Slon, Vader. Rich, Vaughn, Slater. Let's see. I would probably kill Rich, Slater, and marry Vaughn. I think he'd be fun.
Okay. I would Slater.
Yeah.
I would
kill
marry
Vaughn
Rich.
and marry Rich. Okay.
Yeah, but I'd only kill Vaughn because
Rich has got the whole like serial killer thing underneath.
Well,
his
yeah,
eyes.
but I think he'd be good
kettle
to
corn.
me. Kettle corn, and he'd make me things, and he'd seeing eye dog. So I would definitely marry Rich. So the dilemma for me is between Slater and Vaughn, and the only reason why I say I would fuck Slater and kill Vaughn is because I feel like Vaughn's tiny nipples would like be an insecurity for him, which would make the sex a little less exciting. Also, Steven's mom warning. Sorry.
But yeah, so Rich comes into the anthropology class, which he's now joined, and he talks about the graduation that he was attending for seeing eye dogs, and he had to shake all their little paws. It's so wholesome and so sweet. They've done the best job of coming up with so many things that Rich does and has done that makes him the best guy ever without it ever being too over the top. You know what I mean?
Like,
obviously, no man
nice
could
things.
do all of these things. They talk later about what he flies somewhere once a month to clear out the rainforest or something like that. He's such a good guy, and he's in the anthropology class right now, which makes Annie really excited, makes Jeff really annoyed, and Jeff picks up on the fact that Rich is who Annie's been crushing on. He sits next to the two of them, and the energy's very clear, and Jeff is not into it right away. He's feeling some type of way about it. It is because it's Rich.
Also, the penis now, okay. I just realized
written
that.
Out.
Yeah, and it was in a different spot than he was writing it when he started writing.
They had to do
penis.
that scene a couple times, huh?
Yeah. Come on, John, get it together.
Gee, I hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
We're on the case. Thought I could sneak it past a couple of sleuths like us.
You said that someone told you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been me mentioning it here and you being like, yeah.
Yeah, Heather Locklear.
Now they're in the cafeteria. They're all sitting at a table, and I noticed how they all had Red Bull cans like showing, and
Oh, wow.
poppers, like a branded. Yeah, it
Sponsors.
seems like there's some real product placement in this episode.
That season 2 money coming in.
Right. They had to do episodes like this so they could afford things like the Christmas episode or like the 2-part
Exactly.
paintball episode. Everyone's eating lunch, and Annie's really excited that Rich has joined the class, and now she's just openly talking about how he's who she's been crushing on, and tries to get everyone to back her up, and they all say, yeah, he's sweet. He would be into you. And I would see it. The age difference is weird, but they're really sweet, right?
Yeah.
The age
I don't have a
difference,
problem
if Annie's now probably 19,
20.
maybe 20, and if Rich is in his 30s, it's not weird, but
No.
I feel like Rich could be closer to 40, which is why as she being 20 seems a little bit weird.
I feel like, and this
But
is coming as
Steven-
somebody who dated someone who was closer to 30 when I was 19 and then 20. Not
But
being
closer
20,
to 30 is different than closer to 40.
It is, and I'll say that there were even like a lot of things that presented issues. Just not being 21 and dating somebody older, it creates a problem.
Yeah. Especially someone who's closer to 40. That's a big stretch.
I think that's a big gap. And also here's a thing, and it's a double standard.
Okay.
Is that older guys with younger girls is automatically comes across as a little bit
Less weird.
less okay than older women and younger guys.
I
know
don't
why
think
it is.
I personally feel that way. I think
You don't.
I think it's usually fine, but if one of them is really on the young side and the other one is significantly older, it can feel a little weird, regardless of gender. But I'm not saying your situation did. I'm saying if
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever been in an age gap that's so big that it's weird.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not saying that I think you were, but I think it very easily, whether anyone knows it. I think someone being 18 to 20 and someone being like a lot older than 20, being like 30 or older.
Yeah,
I think it
is
can
a little
be
weird.
predatorial. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Annie
Now,
here is 20.
is
If we
20.
think she's 20, I don't. But nothing happens. So whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what people come to us.
What was your
for.
question? I don't remember.
That's what people come to us for, the hot takes on age gap.
I mean, and Jeff is older than Rich.
You think so?
I think so.
I don't think the actors are that much
No,
older than each other.
but I think Jeff's character is older than Rich's character.
Okay.
But also, Jeff and Andy they never date. I mean, they.
Well, someone says here, Jeff is the one who says how he's had a long, full life, and Annie says that he's 30-something. And that she can tell he's old because he has the landline and he uses the word album. I use the word album all
I
the
use the
time.
word album too. What's wrong with that?
I used to give
Records.
Steven shit for that. He's done that on this before, but we've never had a reason to explain it. I used to give him shit for calling things records, and it's, I don't know. I just thought it sounded a little hipster at the time, but
It was very pretentious.
I use it occasionally. It depends.
because I'd be like,
I prefer
"Oh, that
album.
was a great record.
That was a great record.
It's a great record we cut there, mate. Boys, hey boys,
likes his records. Aww, baby.
we were playing on my record players at a 45 or 38.
Did someone get addicted to crack? Did someone get addicted to crack? Yeah, so Annie says, you don't think he's too old for me? And everyone is like, no, not really. And Pierce says, well, by that logic, I wouldn't have a shot with anybody at this table, which really frames a lot of other stuff. He thinks there's at least one person there that he has a slight chance with. Who do you think it is? Who's your best bet?
I think he thinks that if Britta weren't a lesbian, then she'd be into him.
But I think Pierce's mind works more, I'm not into her because she's a lesbian, to cover that she'd never be interested in him.
Yeah, so I think he thinks Shirley, right?
I think Pierce thinks something could happen between him and Shirley anytime, and sometimes he has confusing feelings about Jeff.
Yeah, for sure.
They talk about how sober Duncan is worse than drunk Duncan, and I believe that. I think that could be true.
I don't know if we mentioned this or not because we were talking about his penis, but the Limer Duncan's like, and there will be more than one diorama, and the entire class was like, no.
Annie talks here about how, well, if class is going to be hard, I think we should bring Rich into the study group, and it really probably wouldn't be the worst idea, but Jeff has to have a problem with it, talking about everyone has a reason that someone other type of person should be in the study group. And I do kind of like episodes where the group really dabbles with someone genuinely joining the study group. It's a sitcom, so they probably won't, but it's fun to mess with the dynamics like that.
Yeah.
And I wish this episode would have committed a little bit harder to it, because they definitely do it other times.
Well, and it would have been nice, like you said, if maybe they didn't stretch it out so far and they had either Chang or Rich join the study group and have some way to get like booted out or they leave. So I think that would have been so easy to do and would have made it a better episode.
I agree. Jeff just doesn't vibe with that. But Annie comes up with the idea to create the mixer and invite a bunch of different people, hang out with everyone, and decide who should be in the study group. And I like the idea of that. I like it because it's nice to see these characters have to interact with the other people on the campus, even just random people. And then this welcomes our guest star for the episode, Malcolm Jamal. Or Jamar?
Mm-hmm.
Jamal. Malcolm Jamal Warner, who I was never a big Cosby Show kid, so why don't you explain?
He played Theo. Probably my favorite of the kids in the Cosby Show, but he was the oldest son. Had a lot of really good storylines on there. But he was on the Cosby Show for a long time. And now he's here looking great as Shirley's ex-husband.
Look really, really great.
He looks
Shirley
really good.
Did well for herself. Not saying
he's
that
really
Shirley
handsome.
isn't beautiful, but he's a good-looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great guest spot. I really like Andre in this episode.
I do too.
I think, and I kind of hate that because it's always been the best Shirley stories showed how much what he did really hurt her. Mm-hmm. And then he shows up and he's this winning guy that wins everyone over. And I feel like a lot of times those type of guys are.
Yeah, they are. That's how they stick around and
Yeah.
still do that kind of stuff. I hate it.
And I don't think that's what the show's doing here, but that's kind of like I worry for Shirley.
I agree.
I like, I like Andre's comeback because, you know, he shows up and the first thing Pierce thinks to say is like, oh, thanks, I'm finished, and hands him his tray to take away. Did you pick up on that? But then Andre says, no, I'd say you got about 2 more good years when he says he's finished.
That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. It was a perfect comeback. It totally sounds like someone who's had to say stuff like that to ignorant people their entire life. So they just have like their thing that they say. Do you have anything like that? Are there any like microaggressions that you see a lot? Do you have like a built-in response to?
I'm sure there are, but growing up in Indiana, there are so many that you encounter, especially working. When I worked at the grocery store, especially, people were
can you
really,
give me one? I'm curious.
I don't know. The demographic that does it most is probably, I would say, older white men aged like 50 and up. Especially, just pretty much everything that comes out of their mouths is...
they just feel like they can say anything.
Yeah.
They really do. They're always the weirdest with the girls, like in front of their wives.
Yeah.
They'd be like, well, if I didn't have this one around...
Ugh, gross.
I don't know. I hate it.
Yeah, I don't know, because I try, especially at that time, was not a very confrontational person, so I would just ignore. I wouldn't acknowledge
and when you're working
shit they
for
say.
a company, even though it's awful, if you don't know if your boss doesn't say, hey, you can like tell people to f*** off if they disrespect you.
Here's one. My go-to, like regardless of what they would say, is I'd make them say it again because they thought they were being funny.
What was that?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, never mind.
Yeah, that's my go-to. Especially if they think it's a joke, and then they'll like say it again, and I like again will not laugh, and I'll be like, I don't get it. Like that's one that's fun to do, because then they're like, no, let me explain my racist joke to you, and I'm like,
and you're like, okay, show me how racist you are.
Yeah. Which, you know, from the years 2016 to 2020 were pretty. They like to explain it because they're like, oh,
I don't think
our
it's
world
stopping.
now.
Yeah.
No. At least they're
You're
not
just
as loud.
Lucky to be in Chicago.
Yeah, truly.
So yeah, Andre has come to visit Shirley at the school, which is nice. So Andre just kind of is around for the majority of this episode, which is one of the touches I really liked about it. His presence and personality is really likable, even if I wanted better for Shirley. And in the audio commentary, Yvette talked about how excited she was that he was the guest star and was her husband. Yeah. And you can tell. Just look at that hug.
I know. She is thrilled to be hugging him right now.
Yeah.
Because she probably had such a crush on him when she was younger.
What did they say on the commentary? They said that the rest of the cast had like a safe word to like tell Yvette that she needed to calm down. And it was something like like green grass or something like that.
That's so cute.
And I like that this kind of continues the thread of Troy saying things he shouldn't hear, because the first thing he says to Andre is like, we haven't heard a lot about you or what you've done or with who. And Andre doesn't blink an eye. I mean, I think he's really here trying to show Shirley that he is doing this. Yeah. And he knows that these people have probably heard about all this stuff, but he knows that these people have been important to her. So he doesn't bat an eye and he doesn't stop smiling. And he takes it head on, which is admirable.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
And gets everyone around a soft serve. Lil told me while we were watching this episode last night that they had soft serve because they were like, well, it's not like he'd have to pay for that. And I was like, what do you mean? Of course he would have to pay for that.
Yeah.
And they said at their college there's a soft serve machine that you could just go get ice cream.
What the
And so they thought that it was like just a thing that's how it works. No,
are you kidding me? Do you know how much ice cream I would have eaten?
I'm curious if that maybe they were supposed to pay for it, and Lil was just going and getting ice cream.
Stealing ice cream constantly.
But they said that they would be like, yeah, we'd be like, let's go get some of that ice cream, and they would all the time.
I would fill so many like different receptacles.
You'd like take home a huge container of it, even though you could just come back and get more whenever you want.
Exactly, because like,
no, this is for the week, so I can stay in my room until it's gone. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, damn it!
Yeah.
What? I have a Shamrock Shake that's in the fridge.
Have you had the Oreo Shamrock McFlurry?
I almost ordered it last night, but I have a Shamrock Shake instead.
This is such a tangent-filled podcast, and it's okay because this episode is not bad, but a little mixed. So now at McDonald's they have chicken sandwiches that are meant to rival the like Popeyes sandwich. And I tried, they come in like the special chicken sandwich bag, and they've got this special bun, and they've got like a new kind of like crispy chicken fillet, and there's a regular one, a deluxe one, and a spicy one. And I tried the spicy one, and man, it was tasty.
Really? That makes me happy, because I'm a chicken sandwich loving guy.
It was, the chicken piece isn't as big as the Popeyes one, but it was every bit as tasty, and the sauce might have been a little bit spicier.
Ooh, and I bet it's probably at least a touch cheaper because it's McDonald's, right?
And of course, our sponsor this week is McDonald's. This is a big get for us, buddy.
Ba-da-dun-dun-dun. We're loving it.
Yeah, go up to your local McDonald's, go through the drive-thru, tell them we'll take the Zach and Steven.
Which
they know what it is. It's a secret menu item. Yeah, tell them what it is, buddy.
So it's two parts. The Zach, of course, is a 20-piece of chicken tendies, not tenders, but tendies with Szechuan sauce.
And they don't make any of that anymore, so they just like mold 4 chicken nuggets together and then deep fry
They really mash them together with a large high C with light ice. And then the Steven half of that is 11 McChickens, 3 McDoubles, and a Big Mac, all with like 6 barbecue sauces, a large Coke with light ice, and a large sweet tea with no ice, all dipped in a Shamrock Shake. Now you may say, you mean with a Shamrock Shake? No, all of them dipped in a Shamrock Shake, then put back in their bags.
They come pre-soggy and minty. So yes, please go to your local McDonald's, roll up to the speaker and say, I'll take the Zach and Steven, please. They'll know what you're talking about and what we just described.
Valid only participating in McDonald's stores.
Yeah. They went from Travis Scott to J Balvin or whoever, and now it's
Zach and
What are those officially licensed Zach and Steven Happy Meal toys?
Well, here's the thing.
Oh no, what is it?
You have to show ID to get it because they do not want children playing with those. Let me just tell you that.
They're male vibrators.
It's like a half-smoked joint and and a cracked Weezer CD. Which one will you get? They're all Ratitude.
And all the joints have already been smoked to completion.
There's like one out of every 1,000 gets Hurley, and that's it.
Collect all two.
There's like
And
a
Steven,
smash
this
Lucky
is
Strike
insane.
cigarette box.
It's insane how in depth they're partnering with us, because also if you roll up to your local McDonald's, you can also, on any small fry or large fillet of fish, you can play Zach and Steven Monopoly. And if you collect all 4 railroads, what's that number 1 prize?
Well, the number 1 prize is a swift kick in the pants from your mother for the smell that you'll have from the amount of small fries and filet-o-fishes that you have to eat to get all 4 railroads.
The grand prize is the smallest little kiss from both Steven and myself.
We will personally show up and butterfly kiss your eyeballs.
So thanks for the sponsorship. We're really loving that sellout money. You can see we're okay with them doing whatever they want with our brand. Thanks, McDonald's. What are we talking about?
For a limited time. Now, if you are managed to collect all 4 railroads, both Weezer CDs, and at least 4 joint butts, we will personally come and rub whatever sandwich you want it to.
Good.
We will spit on your burger and
If
hand
you know
it to
what
you.
we mean. Steven and I will split up between the and the personally.
Oh my God.
For
Steven's mom
$50 on patreon.com/Kansas
You know, my
Corn
sister
Podcast.
told her
I'll
like
bleep
fellow
out some
middle
of
school
those
friends
words.
to listen to this. I'm sorry, kids.
You know, for whatever reason, I feel like that's the audience that would truly get us.
honestly,
I like how your sibling is to the point that they're like, not, hey, you should check out Community. That she's like, hey, you should listen to this podcast about this TV show you've probably never heard of that my brother does.
oh, I had a pretty cool moment, Zach, as we're just winding Rainbow Road today. We're 7 minutes into the episode. I was with some people that I work with. Well, I guess a different studio, and he had a couple friends over, and it was a pretty small, like gathering, like 4-5 people.
Yeah.
But it was nice. We were hanging out. It was nice to be in like a
Social gathering of sorts.
yeah.
Yeah. I get
And the guy I was talking to, we were vibing. Like, he's a cool guy. We had a lot of similar tastes and things. He's like, "Have you ever heard of Community?" And I was like, actually,
Well, for your information, I recently interviewed Joel McHale.
and he was like, "Really?" And then I showed him, and now he's gonna listen to the show.
I've totally had moments like that too. In the play that I was in, I had mentioned, I don't make a big deal about it, but I would mention that like I do a podcast that comes out every week. It's really fun. And one of the cast members like followed me on Instagram and then followed the podcast and came to me the next day and was like, "You had Joel McHale on the podcast?" I was like,
Oh,
cool.
well, haha.
bow before us, peasants. Let's get back into this episode because we're never going to talk to Joel McHale again at this rate.
Nope.
I like how Britta does show some concern for Shirley's situation and the way that she phrases it, that she's been fed a lot of soft serve by a lot of guys. Sometimes it's chili tickets, which totally sets up her bit at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that
with
was pretty
Neil.
great.
And gym bag full of nickels. Britta will give it up for just about anything, and she's willing to use that as advice to keep Shirley from making the same mistakes.
I like the way Troy's looking at her like, I wonder what I could give Britta in exchange.
And Shirley, I like how well she stands up for herself because I'm sure she's been wrestling with this decision for a long time, and she didn't bring it to her friends until she knew that this was what she was going to do. And it is, and her friends just need to do that with her, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because that she's pregnant, and it's a real shock to everyone. and she was going to wait to tell everyone, but people are being kind of mean to her decision making, so she needs to tell them that she's 8 weeks along, she's pregnant, and immediately Troy and Pierce think about how they both know that Chang and Shirley had sex on Halloween. And dude, I would have liked this Shirley straight through line without the Chang aspect.
Without the Chang aspect.
If there was a storyline about her getting back with her husband and being pregnant, but maybe the baby isn't theirs.
But why'd it have to be Chang?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without even a passing mention of Chang's wife, who the
No.
last time... I mean, it would make sense if they didn't stay together very long after it, but the last time we saw them, they rekindled, and no, they didn't mention it.
They salsa danced. The dance of love.
And that's forever. Yeah, now we're in the study room, and this is that line that I really like, where Annie's like, you may know us as that study group, but tonight we're going to treat you all like human beings.
Yeah.
And there's this large gathering of people here for this mixer to maybe get accepted into the study group. And this is so weird. Do you think these people that got invited to this mixer know that it's like a competition for one of them to get accepted into this study group?
Oh, there's not a chance because they wouldn't be there.
Or do you think they're just there for like a mixer? Yeah.
I think they're there because they thought it would be a party with maybe booze.
And they get there and there's tropical Skittles, cigarettes, and mouthwash, and they stay. The Greendale crowd's easy to please. Who was it that someone talked to us? Was it you about like models hanging out at Greendale? Oh, that was on the Save Greendale Committee, the podcast we did with them that we should check it out. How they always thought it was funny how, the background of Greendale is always filled with attractive people, but whatever they're doing is so ridiculous and stupid. And the characters in the background would be like, oh my God, this is so stupid. But like, they're there. You're a part there. Of it.
You are a part. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's there to have a good time. Everyone gets a cigarette. The group's all kind of keeping to themselves, even though they're supposed to be getting to know these people. And Pierce and Troy are trying to get to the bottom of it. Troy's going to like interrogate Andre, this man that he doesn't know, to try to find out if it's his or not. I like how Andre is just picking at the tropical Skittles. I miss the days of pre-COVID times when we could all just sit around picking Skittles out of a jar together.
Isn't that crazy? Because that's not going to happen again for years.
That sounds awful, doesn't it?
Although, is it awful? Because I don't know that we ever should have been just reaching our bare hands into a bowl of candy.
There's nothing more pure and wholesome in this world than two loving friends both going tongue first into a bowl full of Skittles together.
I mean, we still do that.
Yeah. Find the one blue one.
Here's the hint.
There isn't one.
There is no. Didn't stop us from looking, though, did it?
But yeah, all of Troy's interrogations to Andre are very Troy. The way that he's like, after Halloween, dead pumpkins everywhere, dead pumpkins, kids have taken off their costumes.
Nature's Viagra, right?
Andre is like, yeah, I guess so. And I really like he really fits in well into this episode. I like how after being interrogated by Troy so strangely, he's like, okay, I'm going to go talk to some other people. Okay? See you later, man.
Puts like 6 Skittles back in the bowl.
Right, and that's the best part, because once you found the magic Skittle, you put it back in the bowl so 2 other friends can
Someone
touch
else
each other
can have
in ways
fun
they've always
finding
dreamed
it.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the magic of a bowl full of Skittles. And, we neglected to mention that when you roll up to your local McDonald's for the Zach and Steven experience...
If you whisper, taste the rainbow.
No.
Oh, no.
The cost of the experience is one pre-searched bowl of Skittles. That translates to the cost of the meal.
Well, and they'll know whether it's been searched properly or not.
Anyone would know. They're all very sticky
friends.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go talk to someone else. Is what everyone who listens to our podcast is saying. I think I'm gonna turn the dial. It's like, no, this isn't a dial. You can't turn it. It's like, no, I already have.
No.
The end. Troy's already given up. That's all he had. And Pierce is getting very close to the point. It's a miracle that he's made it this long.
It really is.
He's getting close to the point where he's just going to say that it happened. And Troy has a very astute line here when he says,
Pierce, if someone had sex with Chang and they get to not remember that happened, that's a gift from God. I'm not taking that away from her without a good reason.
funny thing about the word astute, I sent it in a text earlier, but I spelled it like astute with an E, and I was like, why is it telling me I spelled that wrong? And I Googled it, and it's astute with an
astute.
A.
You didn't know that?
Nope.
The very in tune with this next character that we're introduced to, Kendra, with the QU, which, of course, as mentioned, You Can't Disappoint a Podcast is now You Can't Disappoint a Podcast with the QU.
Exactly. There's my ex right there. That's my connection to community. We dated for a little while.
They're not wholly dissimilar.
Right. I mean, fair enough.
What is she up to these days?
I think she's still with that guy who vapes.
Didn't he have like did he have like an
Instagram where it was like Vape God?
I'm sure they're both big fans of the show.
Lord.
So shout out. But he had like an Instagram with like vape tricks.
Yeah.
Is he still got a big following?
I don't know. I haven't touched base with him in a while. We should catch up.
Share. Strange, you have so much in common.
I know. Well, at least
share
one thing.
Common philosophies. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so yeah, Jeff has found this girl, Kendra. She spells it with a QU. She's who Jeff wants to join the study group because she's just this hot girl who Jeff could bang, and it's almost like it's almost like Jeff's trying to, like, Kendra to him is what Rich is to Annie. It's just like a hot thing to bang when Annie actually kind of has a crush on Rich. And
well,
Jeff's
and,
just like,
and
well, I can
he
do
knows
that
that Kendra is like the antithesis to Annie, right? She's blonde and stupid and kind of like how Rich is like Jeff. I mean, they're both good looking, but Jeff is like Rich is a genuinely like generous guy that seems to only want the best for everyone else and not really worry about himself.
I don't really like when sitcoms create characters like Kendra because they do it all too often to have like a dumb hot girl who is just there for the guys to ogle. It's like what Friends and How I Met Your Mother would do really badly. But I think her finest moment is when she asks Troy, "Are you Abed? I love Star Wars." And then when she finds out she's wrong, "I love footballs," which our dad told us. And Troy sees right through it. It's not going to work. Rich brings kettle corn, though, and that's going to work because that's a fun time snack. And I have a continuity error here. Rich says quite delightfully, "I make it in my garage." But when we see Rich later, doesn't he live in an apartment?
Yeah, he does.
So where does he have a garage? Maybe that's a part of the serial killer conspiracy. That he rents out a garage somewhere, and it's where he does his killing and where he makes his kettle corn.
What if the show You was really about Rich the whole time?
Which is funny because that show had Krista Aaliyah as a like sexual predator, and he is a sexual predator.
Yeah, he is.
He like very, very recently released a YouTube video that was like, you know, what they all are. Yeah, it was his first time saying something. It was like, "Sorry guys, no, it wasn't even like that. It was kind of like I did a lot of stuff."
That's shitty.
Yeah. But Rich, I make it in my garage. It's a funny enough line that they can keep it, even if the monster uses that garage for killing the innocent people of Greendale. And they could have totally not. This is a stupid line. This is a like laugh track sitcom joke that I spell kettle corn with a QU, and Jeff's reaction, "Well, don't," is my thoughts exactly with it. And now we get a really funny bit. Another one of several really funny Chang moments in this episode when he walks in and they've had this wide search for a mixer, and they didn't invite Chang, even if they knew they weren't going to pick him. They could have at least thrown him that bone and made him feel like included. But he shows up.
What is this? What's going on?
It's a mixer.
Why is everyone from Anthro class here? Are you guys picking a new study group member? And you didn't invite me?
We didn't know how to reach you.
What are you talking about? I'm everywhere.
We didn't know how to reach you.
That's not true. That's a lie.
It's a mixer. We didn't know how to reach you. It's a mixer. 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 Works every time.
And Abed's moment here where he acts spazzing out and like circuit shorting to get Chang to leave him alone, and that it works, and that he's like, yes, works every time. It's a really, really great Danny Pudi moment. It's one of my favorites. And it shows really that Abed has growth, because I don't think he would have been able to, like, back in the beginning of the series when he didn't know what pranks were and stuff like that, that he used to not be able to separate things like in a way like that. He wouldn't be able to act in such a way, I don't think. But now
Abed, like, watching it, especially seeing it kind of slowly, like he has so many great background moments in this episode where he's just like reacting to things in such a way where he's like, this is what I do, I do, and it's so funny. Like he like takes a drink of like a soda and like shakes his head and like does like a face. It's so good.
Super good. Everyone's chowing down on some kettle corn and talking about how good it is. Rich is totally just winning everyone over. Kendra definitely isn't. Chang definitely isn't. Jeff's kind of out of options. It feels like everyone's going to pick Rich, so he leaves. And it looks like he's kind of trying to scramble, trying to figure out something. And Annie approaches him, runs out of the room and approaches him to say, let's just vote in Rich. Everybody left, and he's getting along with everyone.
Yeah.
And it's super obvious that Rich is the best candidate. And Jeff, with a really creepy smile on his face, gives that, yeah, sounds great. I'll be right there. And he's just trying to come up with a last-minute thing. And I do like this, that the turn for funny. Jeff is that the last-minute thing is Chang, because he's like, just like he told Abed when he asked Abed why he didn't invite him, he's always around. He's always everywhere.
He's everywhere.
He's like the only option. And Chang reveals himself by walking towards Jeff, and he starts clapping, like a slow clap that he's starting while he walks. You don't know that.
The slow clap
really
bit
silly.
was pretty funny. That's one of my... I forgot to mention that like in my funniest moments, but that definitely is one of my favorite things is Chang doing the mistimed slow claps.
It's one of those things that like only Kim Jong can do this because it's a bit that's not funny.
Yeah.
And he does it in a way that's so dryly not funny that it's really funny.
Because he's so serious. He's like, this is what I'm doing. And it works.
I just love that whenever Chang's talking to someone, he's got this really intense stare. He's really intensely staring into Jeff's eyes, and you can see Jeff's reaction to it. Both of the actors play really well off of each other. As he's making a Chang joke as you Chang your point of view while he's looking directly into his soul. And I like Jeff's takedown of, that's not clever. You only ever use it when you use the word change. And he's like, no, that's not what it is. Jeff's scrambling. He doesn't want to go to Chang, but it is the only option. So he says, just let me do all the talking and follow my lead. Chang says, deal. Tries to start another slow clap. And Jeff brings up, do you have brain damage? It's a really funny moment between the two of them. And whenever Jeff and Chang have to pair up, I think it's my favorite way to have Chang, yeah. We cut back into the study room, and Annie is just continuing to list more and more impressive things that Rich does. That he flies down once a month to a third world country to fix children's cleft palates, and teaches them acoustic guitar. And Rich just sitting down and is like, oh yeah, because he's almost, well, I guess he does kind of brag, but he doesn't really that much.
No, and it's not like he brags to like get praise. He just, people bring it up and he's like, yeah, I do that. Or he's like telling it because he's so excited about it. Like with the dogs, he's not doing it to say like, oh yeah, I train dogs. He's like, sorry, I'm late. I was shaking doggy hands.
Really clear that there's darkness underneath that because of his brother and the roller coaster, and it should have been him. That there is a complex there. If you dig hard enough, it doesn't look like he's doing a thing, but he totally is. Mm-hmm. Pierce doesn't care. He's down. Troy's down. The kettle corn's great. Do you like kettle corn?
Okay, so
I do not like
Chicago. There is a pretty famous Garrett's popcorn, and the Chicago style is the like caramelized kettle corn with the cheesy mixed in, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, you would like something like that. Mm-hmm. I like some sweet popcorn offerings, but I don't like just plain kettle corn. I would maybe like a caramelized, and I would probably try that, even with the cheesy. You know what I saw that really surprised me? We just went grocery shopping, and they had like one of the main brands of popcorn had a popcorn that was blue and cotton candy flavored.
That sounds like sand.
Nope.
No thanks.
Nope.
That doesn't sound enjoyable at all.
Unlike that, Rich is an open and shut case, and they're all willing to vote him in. And then Jeff shows up right at the perfect second to say, I object, and to bring in Chang, who really does look like the next in a nesting doll size. Like if Jeff was the slightly larger one, you would take him apart, and it's Chang, as Chang like slides from behind him. Ben Chang is Jeff's case. And Jeff is just so talented at bullshitting that he has a plan, and he's going to get them all to pick Chang. He's serious. It's going to happen. And here, when he says, I am Yahoo serious, is that a reference to the company Yahoo, or is he saying the word it is? That's really funny because I know at this point in their head, not in a million years would any of them ever come out with the idea that the show would end up on Yahoo.
No. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe Yahoo was like, oh, they like us. Let's throw them a bone. They gave us some free publicity.
He has a couple serious lines here. The Honey Nut Cheerios was probably
I like the
my
Honey Nut
favorite.
Cheerios, yeah.
And then there's a moment here that Debunked totally stole from the SpongeBob SquarePants movie when Annie asked if Jeff is stalling. Like, stalling? They don't totally do what they did there. But Jeff has a funny stalling act here. Like, ha 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 ha. Stalling? No, Annie. In fact, you're going to wish I was stalling. And he's like, oh, never mind. I just thought of it. Go away. And, okay, so now he gives this winger speech about Chang that's so ridiculous. And it's kind of the beginning of the cap-off of an episode that so far has been pretty good.
Yeah.
But this is really the beginning of when it gets kind of uneven. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think this is when it's like, okay.
However, when you ask any of the community cast what their favorite winger speech, this one is it.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
So let's take a look at it.
Yeah.
Jeff says, I'm going to name some names. And he says Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy. I like how Chang goes right to him. And it's like, what? As if he's comparing them to him, but he's not. He's comparing them to Rich. Mm-hmm. And he says, points at him, what do they have in common? We don't know them very well. What do we know about Ben Chang? And he goes on to list all of the ways that Ben Chang is a monster and unpredictable and awful. And this is, I don't know if it's the first time they've done it, but Chang, when he's like, he's awful, whatever the first thing Jeff says about him, and he says, let him finish, when he was absolutely
and I think this
finish.
is maybe the second time they've done it.
That continues to be a running thing. There's a really funny one in one of the last episodes. Are there a couple of the last episodes you haven't seen?
I haven't seen probably the last 2 or 3.
Let's see. Before the final episode, it's about Garrett's wedding, and they're like recording it
because my sister was talking to me about that episode recently, and I was like, I have not seen it, and she made fun of me
for not having seen it.
Yep.
Let's see. The one before that is the last paintball episode,
which I have not seen.
It's a good one. The one before that is when they're all driving around in an RV that has a giant hand strapped to the top of it.
That one I might have seen. What's before that?
Before that is the grifting episode where they do like the passing briefcases around, like there's a grift.
That one I think I've seen.
And then the one before that is the one where they make like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
And Garrett plays like a animated character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you haven't seen like a handful of the last episodes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Ooh. So yeah, Jeff is saying, we know that Chang's all of these things. He's dangerous, he's unpredictable, he's selfish. He likes to use his name to make bad puns. But his point is that Rich seems so great, but nobody's that great. There's got to be something underneath it. Chang is not that great, but we know his brand of not great. He won't surprise us. Bring it home. I like when Chang says that. He's just, man, Ken Jeong's like moving around and fidgeting, and his facial expressions during this is great. And it's funny because only Jeff Winger, Chang is so off-putting, and what he's saying is so nothing against Rich really at all, and it changes enough people's minds to make it happen.
Well, what we have here is the classic Aaron Burr, Thomas Jefferson debate, where we don't know what Aaron Burr stands for, but we know what Thomas Jefferson stands for. Even if it's not what we agree with, at least he has a stance.
Chang has beliefs. Rich has none. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Chang's feel the heat. Also, the score during this scene is really good, too. I wanted to point out there's some really great Ludwig stuff in this one. And it works. At the end of the speech, Chang starts a slow clap, and it's one that actually takes. Everyone joins in on the slow clap, and I like that he gets one after trying it a couple of times in equally as ridiculous of a situation. I really liked also before that all of the ways Jeff describes Rich as bland.
Yeah.
Calling him tapioca pudding, likening to things like that.
And Rich the whole time just sitting there smiling.
He knows that this is what he gets with Jeff because Jeff has been so weird with him every time he's been around, from the time that he barged into pottery class to try to when he was humping the camel, remember?
Yeah.
tossing the camel's hump, right?
You throw the hump.
Right. And now we've got to, give Jeff credit because Chang wouldn't have started the slow clap unless Jeff told him to.
Absolutely.
But it works. Enough people vote for Chang other than one. They're tied, and Shirley is the deciding factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to Shirley. And it's such a tiny moment, but I like the moment where Andre's like, oh, wow, what are you going to do? Like that he's getting a little bit invested in these silly things that happen to his wife while she's at school. And Chang drops to his knees. And Pierce, okay, here's a funny Chevy thing. Apparently he at first couldn't and then wouldn't say kettle corn. And that it was really hard to get him to say kettle corn. And Chevy.
Just say kettle corn.
Yeah.
It's popcorn. It's popcorn.
But the scene turned out really funny. It's like, this is the best kettle corn I've ever had in my entire life. If you don't vote for Rich, I'll shatter your world. And his face when he says it, I'll shatter your world. I heard you. I vote for Chang. So it works. Jeff pulled through. Annie's defeated.
Oh, Rich had a little sad face.
Rich is sad. Pierce is really heartbroken, so he doesn't give a anymore. And he just says, Chang and Shirley had sex on Halloween. And everyone reacts really big to that because nobody knew it really other than Troy.
Yeah.
And Pierce says really casually to Shirley, who's like, what? She doesn't remember it all. Pierce just goes, he may be the father of your baby. And Shirley has an understood emotional breakdown. Chang is starting to put it together. And then Troy was like, Pierce, she crossed me. Andre steps up for himself, still with a handful of kettle corn. The true gentleman says, is that why you were interrogating me about my sexual activity? And Troy reveals now to everyone that he has a voicemail from the Halloween party that none of them remember, that Chang and Shirley slept together. It seems to be about around the time that the conception of the baby would have been. It is what it is, right? It is what it is.
It is, and it's... Everybody's clearly in a state of shock. Shirley is probably equally as, upset as embarrassed.
Yes. Shirley, what is he talking about? Andre is obviously having trouble with this, and Shirley literally has no idea. It's also, I really, really don't like... if the Halloween party was going to be something they all forgot about, there shouldn't have been things from it that stemmed to later episodes. It should have just been one of those things that happened and we let it go. Yep. Right? I don't like this because if you dive too deep into the implications of Shirley having sex with a man, not being able to remember it, and now she's pregnant with his baby, it's a lot darker when what they're presenting it as, even if the reason she remembers it has nothing to do with him.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And Shirley has the moment that works as well as it could when she explains to Andre that nobody remembers what happened at that party. She really doesn't.
Yeah. And
Chang, it's a funny character thing how he immediately takes his cell phone out and turns it upside down. And he's like, oh, now I know what these pictures are. Do you mind if I forward these to my brother, who's been previously established as like a priest?
Yeah.
Right? So he wants to send them to his priest brother.
To his priest brother.
To be like, look what you can't do. Right? And I like how he even covers the photos so Andre can't see them. And then Shirley literally throws him out the door. Now, Annie is upset and saying that this isn't silly anymore because Shirley's life is in a flux, in a big flux because of something that started out so silly. And Andre and Shirley have an honest moment where Shirley just says, I don't understand what's going on, but we can work on this together. We can. And Andre leaves. Not really in a shitty way once we see what happens a little bit later. But it's obviously I cannot deal with this information in front of all of these people right now. I'm stepping away, right? Rich says, I think this is a good time to go. And he starts to leave. It's funny that after any of this, and even after the first couple times, that Rich would even have any interest in joining the study group.
Being around
on top
these
of the
people.
things that he does. Yeah. Especially if he has no romantic interest in Annie, which we learn a little bit later.
No, yeah.
Annie and Pierce are Rich, no. And Pierce runs out the door after him, looks at Jeff.
You finally did it, Jeff Winger. You finally hurt this group in a way that'll never heal. Kettle corn!
Which I thought was really funny because I'm sure that Rich would be more than happy to make Pierce kettle corn whenever he wants. Regardless of the study group. It seems like he's got a ton of it.
Oh my god, he had so much that he brought.
Kettle corn. Now we're into the scene in the bathroom. Jeff's left the situation and he's in the men's bathroom, and there are quite a few people that come one by one to have a conversation with him, mostly female. What did you think about the way that this scene was set up?
I thought it was kind of funny, especially
funny.
when Britta comes in and Jeff's like, am I in the wrong bathroom?
Yeah. Annie's followed him there. He's going to wash his hands, and Annie's really confronting him and asking him to explain why he's been acting weird, all this stuff. Jeff has a stupid, dick, kind of funny line about, well, when a guy eats food and drink, they gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Whatever. Annie is really upset a little bit and says, explain your behavior, and Jeff just basically says that he doesn't like Rich that much, and it's not because he's jealous of him, but Annie's like, it so clearly is. There's so clearly something like that. And Annie makes it then about her, which Jeff hasn't really given away if it is or not, and says, look, 1 second I'm too young for you to date, and then the next you're trying to get rid of guys I like. I see,
which is
of
not
course,
the first
why she would
time.
take it that way.
Yeah, because
right.
I mean the same thing happened with Vaughn, right?
Right.
Where she was dating
Right.
Vaughn and Jeff's like, I don't like this.
Yes, absolutely. And Annie pretty much just says, and this is honestly, man, it comes a little bit out of nowhere, but this little conversation here between them is about the most maturely they've ever dealt with this.
Oh, absolutely.
And I like it. The way that Annie just says, do you want to date me, or whatever, however she says it, do you want to try something or not? And Jeff honestly and maturely says, and not really, it's a little bit of a cop-out, but it's the most straightforward he's ever been with it. Where he says,
either you want me or you don't. What's it gonna be?
I wish I could give you an answer that makes sense, but relationships are complicated, and we're in the men's room.
and I get that. I'm sure he does feel like I'm attracted to this person. They are too young for me to date, but I'm spending a lot of time with this person, and we mesh well with each other, and I'm still attracted with them. It's confusing.
Yeah,
and I guess I
absolutely.
get that. Without trying to sound too nice about men who struggle with feelings for girls that might be a little too young for them, you know,
Yeah.
that's not cool.
I mean, it's not like Annie's
within
underage.
this situation, like psychoanalyzing this situation, I see Jeff struggle.
Totally. Because Jeff knows that he's too old, so it's not like he's like trying to sleep with her. He's like,
and then also he brings it out of the go finish your thought, sorry.
Yeah, but it's not like he's trying to sleep with her. I mean, he probably wants to, but also knows that he shouldn't, which is why it's a complicated situation.
He's old enough and been through it enough times to see the other side of it before he's willing to dive into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Annie accepts what he says, even though he kind of, threw it off a little bit. But then kind of against Jeff, she says, okay, well then there it is. I'm going to ask Rich out, which I do think that's true. I think sometimes not getting the response you want out of one person gives you the confidence boost or the energy boost to go the other direction.
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So Annie's going to go ask Rich out, and it's mostly to make Jeff upset, which he does seem upset about it. And then I like how not even that the girls keep coming in to talk to him in the men's room. It's right after the last person left.
Yeah,
so
like
then
Annie walks out and Britta walks right past her in.
Britta comes in and goes, there you are. Did I walk into the wrong bathroom? And Britta is telling Jeff that she needs to get involved with Andre and Shirley, and that maybe Jeff should be the one to go find Andre and try to tell him another side of things that are happening.
Yeah.
And Jeff's confused because Britta was going on earlier how unsure she was about Andre being around. And Britta, maturely as well, is able to say, well, whatever I think about that, it's apparently what Shirley wants, so that's what it's going to be, right?
Yeah, which is really, like it is more mature of Britta, because Shirley said, I'm a grown woman and this is what I want to do.
Right. Jeff leaves the bathroom, doesn't really give it much thought, and then Neil comes in and pays off on the mention of Britta saying things that she's given away for herself before, or taken to give herself away before. Fat Neil comes in with tickets to something, we don't know what. Annie. Britta flashes him. She takes the tickets. Neil leaves. Mezzanine. I don't know. It's a little scrub. It's a little bit of Scrubs.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. That
it is very Scrubs,
that it just happens, and there was no mention before or after of that it was going to happen or not. We missed the first one. Now we're with Jeff outside talking to Andre. This is one of two Cosby references in the episode. This being a time before it was tricky territory. Yeah, I guess, or before it was well known how tricky the territory was. Earlier in the episode, Troy kind of makes a Cosby-esque face to Andre when he's talking to him about like the sexual stuff. And here, Jeff points out to Andre, hey, nice sweater. And Andre says, my dad gave it to me. And it's not quite a Cosby sweater, but it makes you think of Cosby.
Yeah.
And the scene that the two men share here, I think is nice.
Yeah,
Do you like
I
this
like
part?
this scene. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Honestly, as we've been going through this episode, I'm finding myself liking more things about it than even
Me
when
too.
we watched it to prepare for this episode. But
Me
I still
too.
think I don't like what's about to happen after this scene.
Really?
But we'll talk about it. I do really, really like this scene right here, the two of them talking. That Andre isn't really upset at Shirley. He just needed the time to come outside and think about it. And he's mostly upset at himself because what he did led to everything that's happened. And it's mature of the man. You know, people make mistakes. People should and can be rehabilitated in a way where they're able to get a second chance. We're definitely in a time where it's really hard to root for people that have made mistakes like cheating on someone to get another chance. But a bad decision should not define the rest of your life unless you
do something real bad.
Unless you're not willing to learn from it, or unless you're not willing, if you do something real bad. Yes, Andre deserves another chance if he's willing to commit, and it seems like he is. He's committing with this new kid, regardless of whose it is. He's gonna be a dad again, and he's gonna take care, and he's gonna be there for his children. We get the little aside about. Not realizing what you have until it's gone, and Jeff feels that way with what seems like another stupid name, but is actually a facial scrub that he can't get anymore. They only make it in Finland. But yeah, Andre gives a really nice speech about how he didn't think he could ever change, but love will change you, and it does. And it's a really poignant moment, and it makes Jeff think. And like I said, Andre is willing to accept the responsibility of this kid. He's going to be there. He's for the long haul. If it's his, I'll probably play this part. He'll be a great football player. And if it's Chang's, they'll try golf.
Speaking of a
racist line, is that racist?
It was actually, it's Tiger Woods, because Tiger Woods is black and Asian.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why that joke was there.
Okay.
Yeah. Tiger Woods was just in a really bad car accident.
I heard about that. Is he, like, struggling for his life?
No, it wasn't life-threatening. He had to be, like, ripped out with, like, jaws of life from the car, though.
Wow.
Yeah, this is like in surgery for his legs.
Is he going to play golf again?
I actually don't know because he's had enough back injuries.
And he's older.
Yeah. I'm not
Didn't
sure.
he win something not that long ago?
He won the Masters a couple years ago.
So maybe it sucks that it's because of when he won.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
I'm a big Tiger fan.
It sucks that this is why, but maybe that's a fair feat to retire on.
Yeah.
So all the things that Andre says, Andre leaves, and it's got Jeff thinking, and then Abed walks out, and this is when it gets to, even though it ends up being a different kind of thing, it ends up being a joke. Starting here, the next like minute and a half is way too like Dawson's Creek, or
it was like,
and it's the bit, but it just doesn't fit for me at all.
No, I agree. Thought it was stupid.
Almost especially the way here that Abed's like Annie just texted me, she asked to reach out. He said no. Like, we're supposed to have really big stakes in this, like I don't know. It feels like one of those shows, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to, because then Jeff takes off running in the rain and we get this beautiful music from Ludwig.
I love this scene.
Yeah, Andre walks into the study room over this music and comes back to Shirley. Shirley sees that he's really sticking around this time, and it's a really nice moment for everyone in the study group to get to be a part of it.
Troy smiles, it's my heart.
Troy smiles, and Hugh takes it as his chance to maybe go after one of the people around the table that he does have a chance with, putting his arm around Britta. And he doesn't even make eye contact with her, but knows the look that Britta's giving and takes it off. Whatever. All right. Jeff runs through the rain and gives a second winger speech at the end of this episode, which we're led to believe is directed towards Annie, right?
Yeah.
Don't say anything until I've said what I gotta say. It's the end of the movie, and he gives this whole speech about how he didn't take the person on the other side of the door seriously, and how great they are, and how wrong he was, how genuine they are, and how he wishes he could be like them. The thing that scares him about the person is how good he wants to be because of them. And of course, it's not Annie. The show was kind of maybe trying to play with the heartstrings of people that really want Annie and Jeff to get together.
Yeah.
It was Rich. He wants Rich to teach him how to be better. And because Rich is the nicest guy ever, when Jeff says, help me, Rich, help me become like you, Rich is like, yeah, no problem. Come on in, man.
Well, and Jeff even says, he's like, I want to be like perfect so I can take advantage of it and use it to my, he's like,
Yes.
you use your powers for good, I want to use that for evil.
It's clear that both of these people are not mentally well, right?
Yeah.
And they call it out on Chang, but they've definitely both got some stuff going on, right? Mm-hmm. He wants that power so he can abuse it. And yeah, Rich is like, you're a funny guy. Come on in, man. Let's make muffin tops. He says you can't just fake being good to get away with bad things. So he does have a little bit of a moral compass, but he is still kind of willing to just hang out with Jeff. He's like, whatever, man. You got me there, guy. I really like that delivery of that line. Come on in and dry off. And he's making muffin tops. But he lives in an apartment. So I don't think he has a garage. And if he does, it's a garage that he rents out and kills people in. It's more in the serial killer trope. And if that's not part of the conspiracy theory already, people should accept it as such.
Now, I will say this in Rich's possible defense.
Okay.
In Chicago, in apartment buildings, normally it's like the apartment buildings, then behind the apartment building, there's like a row of like garages and an alley.
Okay.
So one person in the apartment building will own the garage back there so they can park their car. So maybe he has one of those. But this isn't Chicago. It's, yeah.
Colorado is the answer.
Colorado. Mm-hmm.
They never say it until later, but it's Colorado. That's the end of the episode, and I really, really do feel like it's an episode that stretched the concept for the first half of an episode into an entire episode. It doesn't feel like there's much of an ending. Usually Community, even if it in its worst episodes, comes to a decisive ending. This one feels a little bit off of the Dan Harmon story circle.
Totally. It doesn't,
I feel like it
there's
doesn't
not a
quite
completed
come in a
thought.
full circle with several of the threads in the episode. But it's hard to be mad when an episode ends with Troy and Abed in the morning end tag. And this one's really fun. Basically, the only joke here is that they've got Rich and he shows off his kettle corn process and the giant spoon that he's made for himself out of an oak tree in his backyard that was struck by lightning. And he also used it to make a rocking horse for his nephew. He's just the perfect man. But basically the bit here is, as always, Jeff comes in to interrupt the thing and tell Rich that it's stupid because Troy and Abed don't actually film it. There aren't any cameras. But Rich doesn't care. He's just like, well, yeah, but it's a fun way to start the morning.
And when he says the fake morning show, Troy and Abed like sip from their mugs and look at the camera.
Yeah. And I love all the signs and how, I don't know how they get all of these people
Abed,
to them to do this.
Pop
my kettle corn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me come on your show. Yeah, it's a nice end tag. And I love Troy and Abed in the morning. And that's the end of the episode. Talking through it and looking at what it's doing beat by beat, it did work a little bit better for me. But when I watched it as a whole, it didn't. So that's not saying nothing.
That's not good, yeah. I think when we were going through and breaking everything down, it was good. But I think it's because when I watched it straight through, especially like after the first time, I didn't laugh a whole lot.
Yeah, I agree. And it needed more of an ending. Because we don't see a lot of Andre after this episode. I think we do see him a couple of times, but we needed more of an ending, I think.
Yeah.
But that being said, in this episode that isn't the strongest, who was the strongest in it? Who's your MVP?
Honestly, Zach, now, and I almost feel differently after watching it through this time.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to change my answer.
Okay.
My boy Rich gets my MVP.
Okay.
Because he was a sweet boy the whole time.
Yeah.
He was a good sport. Played along well. I mean, Shirley could get it, but as much as I like Shirley's storyline here, she doesn't really get to do a whole lot
within it. Yeah, you're right. I can go one of two directions. One of them was Rich, so I think I'll go the other one, and I think I'll give it to Annie. I think Annie does the best with this, and then in the end of the episode, when the story goes in some touchy-feely ways that I'm not crazy about, she's still true to her character, and I don't often praise Annie lately, so I liked her in this one. But it was kind of a tough pick. Rich is a good answer,
Certainly.
too. Not a bad episode. It's certainly nowhere near the worst of Community, and it was one that, if Community came on a TV station and this is the one that came on, I'd be happy to watch it. But compared to the episodes that it's sandwiched around, it's not like the others, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But that ends this week's podcast, and I think it was a great podcast. You know, we've kept it at 2 hours like clockwork.
Look at
we
us.
had plenty of tangents. We talked about all kinds of stupid shit. I have no idea what's going to stay and what's going to get cut.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. Yeah?
Yeah, it's been a great Thursday with you, buddy.
We did it, yeah, as always. Great to do this. Great to talk to everyone. Really thankful to all the people who listen. Any last words you've got for the people on behalf of our sponsors over at McDonald's?
Yeah, you know, just like
I feel like that's not it.
This podcast.
Yeah, that's it. But you were like bum 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 bum
bum bum bum bum bum bum.
They're sponsoring us, but we can't afford to use their jingle. Unfortunately.
Exactly. Much like a McDonald's Big Mac sandwich, this podcast is made of 2 all beef patties.
I don't think it's all beef.
Lettuce sauce. Special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, all on a sesame seed bun. And if you want to see our sesame seed buns, subscribe to our Patreon over at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast.
Yes.
Please send us your questions.
Did you just burp a little bit
comments.
when you said
I don't think so.
Okay,
your
it
questions
sounded like some devil noise came out of you.
That was my evil spirit. Make sure you send us your questions, comments, concerns, favorite moments, funniest moments, and your MVP for next week's episode, Celebrity Pharmacology, over to www.gmail.com/ just kidding. Email us.
You killed it. We changed it, and that's it. You nailed it.
Email us at can'tdisappointpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at YouCan'tDisapod. We're on Instagram at can'tdisappointpodcast. We're on Facebook and YouTube at YouCan'tDisappointPodcast. Find us. Call us, beep us if you want to reach us.
Yes, and please
give us a taste. Lick our elbow without us looking and see if we notice.
New stuff on the Patreon all the time. Our Scrubs review should either be up or nearly up by the time this podcast comes out. And I'm going to go ahead and say it because it's not March yet. I am going to commit throughout the month of March that You Can't Disappoint a Podcast will be coming on Patreon every Thursday, the same day that we record the podcast, a full 3, maybe even more than 3 days from when the podcast comes out, usually. So if you want to get it hot as possible off the presses, as close to the second it's left
the heat,
our hammy lips as possible, the best way to do that is to become anywhere from a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. It helps keep this show going, and it'll allow you to check out a lot of cool stuff that we do over there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that wraps this up from inside the Dreamatorium. I'm White George Foreman.
And I'm Black Michael Chiklis.
And thanks for being cool. I don't know. What? You tell me.
Thanks
Make
for...
sure to order that Zach and Steven. Get your bowl of spitty Skittles ready.
Yeah, guys, stay how you are. Don't go changing to try and please me.
It'd probably be worse anyway.
Yeah, true. Thanks
for listening. We will talk to you guys next week when next week is Celebrity Pharmacology, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite episodes, honestly. It's been an episode that I often show to people that have never seen Community to just show them a more school-based episode that's really funny. And we recently got to talk about it over on the Save Greendale Committee podcast.
Which
so
was
go check
so
that
much
out
fun.
If you'd like kind of a preamble to next week's podcast on that episode. And we'll look forward to that. Send us in your trivia, MVP, all that stuff. It's going to be really fun. Yes.
It'll be a blast and a half.
All right. Let's end this thing. Ready, break.
And just like always, from inside the Dreamatorium, Black Lives Matter. And
did I not say it?
No.
I thought I did when we said our names
You
again.
just said...
Well, then go ahead. You got it.
Oh, me this time? Okay.
Sure. Well, you already started. Go ahead.
For the first time ever.
Yeah. See,
this
is
from
a trial.
Yeah, from inside the Dreamatorium, Black Lives Matter. I'm Steven.
And I'm Steven.
And this has been You Can't Disappoint a Podcast. Thanks, guys.
Something stupid in the background. I'm Steven.
Bye, everybody.